What is going on, FA Nation? John Pemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm MLB DFS Playbook Live show. We are looking at the Wednesday evening slate here. 6 games on tap, Sir Grande. We had some day baseball action earlier today. 7 games. Pitching did not go as planned as we had hoped. The guys we liked, no bueno there, but there were a lot of runs scored. If you were playing, the Phillies, or if you were playing the Guardians, a lot of offense in those games. We turn the page, though. We take a look at the night slate here. 6 games. Good weather. Coors is on this slate. Robbie Ray at $9,300 against Colorado. I get the Coors Field pitcher decrease, but I mean, we're talking about maybe the NL Cy Young winner here. At $9,300. That feels like a good play for us here to kick things off. We appreciate you all tuning in. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Eugenio just murdered Brian Wu, says our guy Mark Pitts.
He did.
Like line drive.
Grand slam.
Grand slam. Good for Jim. Rusty says, hello, fellas. Got that going on first. So we'll break it all down for you guys. Appreciate you tuning in here.
John, honestly, I looked at this early slate as a way to really help me focus on the main slate.
Yes.
Because I knew I was dead within one inning of each
Ben
game.
Brown gave up 3 runs in the first, and
Lodolo gave up a grand slam or whatever it was in the second. Yeah. I just looked at it in a positive way. I looked at it as, well, now I can just completely focus my energy on the late slate.
Yeah, your afternoon was freed up. You didn't have to really pay attention to much here.
Nope.
From an ownership perspective,
Yep.
Robbie Ray is not our highest roster pitcher for today. Surprise. At least for now. We'll see what happens. But David Peterson is. He gets the Washington Nationals at the $8,800. But are you afraid of pitching Chris Bubic against the New York Yankees with how good he has been this season? Strikeouts have been elite. He's been elite. He's a Cy Young contender in the American League here. And no one's really going there because they're worried about Aaron Judge hitting a 500-foot home run.
Well, that's a good thing. One, it's a good thing to be worried about because he did it yesterday. Yeah. If not for a roof, it was going 500 feet.
Chris Bubic, not Noah Cameron. Different.
Not Noah Cameron. I'm okay. I think there's a few things. One, I agree with the Robbie Ray ownership. I also agree with the ownership that you didn't talk about that we can. What did you mention? I don't know. The highest owned pitcher. I agree with it.
Yeah.
I wrote up Bubic today as an alternative, just knowing the ownership. The ownership on Ray and who he will not be named has not changed all day. That has just been those two guys at the top. Bubic offers the alternative spend up. The one thing I'd say is we talk about this a lot. When it gets to be really hot in Kansas City, it's a bad thing for pitching. It's 90 degrees at first pitch tonight in Kansas City. And you have one of the 3 best offenses in baseball against left-handed pitching, if not the best. And that's primarily because Aaron Judge has a 700 ISO against lefties this year. So, I mean, Bubic is in a tough spot. He pitched against the Yankees earlier in the year. He wasn't good. He wasn't bad. He was he survived. But he's also now had 5 straight starts in which he's gotten you 26 fantasy points as a baseline number.
1 earned or less in 5 straight starts is a number. Yeah,
so
that's what you want.
It's pretty hard to ignore that. Now, if I'm ranking the top 3 guys, he's 3rd. But the mindset also is he's 3rd, but I do also understand he's clearly the lowest owned of the bunch. So
yeah, he's coming in. I say no owned. He is getting 19%, but on a smaller slate when the other guys are almost double him. Yes. That other top guy you mentioned is Peterson. He's getting Washington. We know obviously Washington's 2 best hitters are from the left side. Maybe their top 3, I guess. Jake Irvin's been. Jake Irvin? Not Jake Irvin. Jake Irvin's the pitcher.
Jake Irvin is their pitcher.
Nathaniel Lowe is who I'm thinking of from the left side. Has had a good little stretch there at times. So you have Peterson here against Washington. What is it about Peterson that you're specifically gravitating towards?
Yeah, he's my top pitcher of the day. And I would I fault anyone for saying Robbie Ray is the top pitcher of the day? No, I think it's one of those two. Peterson's obviously had a gauntlet. One, Dodgers twice and Yankees in 3 of his last 4 starts.
Yeah,
it's a fun stretch, and he's had a quality start in each of those 3. And now we're talking about a Nats offense, as you mentioned, just completely lefty dominant lineup. They're 20th in OPS this year against lefties and have a 23.5% K rate. I think a lot of lineups start David Peterson, Robbie Ray, and I would completely understand why that would be the case. Like, those are, I think, definitively the 2 best pitching options. Like, Chris Bubic has arguably been the best of these 3, like best pitcher of the 3. You can him or Robbie Ray, right? But like in terms of matchups, it's really hard to ignore David Peterson and the matchup and this against the Nationals. So I think how I'd rank them is Peterson, Ray, Bubic. But like you could also just swap Peterson with Ray, and I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense too.
David Festa is actually getting a lot of ownership here today as well. Obviously got recalled. We had Pablo Lopez and Zebby Matthews both land on the IL for Minnesota. Festa, your 3rd highest rostered pitcher, 24%. We've seen some good, we've seen some bad from David Festa. This is a matchup against Rangers offense that until yesterday didn't really have much going. Are we buying into the ownership here on Festa?
All right, so I think this is tricky because I wrote him up. I think that there's a case to be made in like either way. David Festa has been really poor against right-handed bats this year. But all the stuff under the hood looks pretty good for David Festa. It's largely been a lot of unlucky stuff. And he still has a 28% strikeout rate in his 4-game sample. You factor that in with Texas, despite how good they've been, Texas has been a bottom 5 offense against right-handed pitching this year. They do have a pretty healthy amount of righties in their lineup. I just saw it come out not too long ago. Langford, Semien, Berger, Young, Garcia. So they're playing 5 righties and 4 lefties. And the 4 lefties, are probably 3 of their best hitters, Smith, Seager, and at least the last 2 days of Evan Carter. So it's a really tricky spot because I think David Festa is a really talented pitcher that misses a lot of bats, but also just has struggled a little bit. So I get it if you need to spend down because there's not a lot of things to like in the value range. But I also understand stacking against David Festa because Texas has been really good, like very recently has been very good.
Yep. Gusto's the other one, again, just kind of finding value down at this spot here. Another guy that really hasn't done much, but draws the White Sox. So therefore people are attracted to the matchup. Would you rather go Ryan Gusto at 7K or David Festa at 72?
Festa.
Okay.
And I'd go as far to say I'd rather play Sean Burke than Ryan Gusto.
We saw Lucas Giolito pitch well against Tampa Bay last night. Would you tempt fate with Walker Buehler tonight?
No.
Okay. Buehler apparently thought maybe he's been tipping pitches and has made a mechanical adjustment.
Sure.
So we'll see if that adjustment has worked itself out. Giolito also apparently worked on some mechanics with Bailey between starts, and obviously that worked out well for him. Where are you with Clark Schmidt tonight against Kansas City? Because obviously we've talked about Kansas City's relative inconsistencies offensively as well. We think Schmidt is a good to better than average pitcher. Yeah. Thoughts 8,500 for him?
I think he's a good pitcher that's just not in the right spot.
Okay.
Right. It's a spot that includes no strikeout, like almost like no strikeouts attached. So
Max Fried's only striking out like 5,
Dude, he had 2. I think he had like
2? Yeah, whatever.
4 strikeouts last night. Like Max Fried, who's been an elite pitcher for sure. I mean, it's just it's hard to want to go there. So, just not the spot. Not the spot.
Dwayne, pitcher locks. We kind of went over to that. We liked Ray and Peterson. And if we had to pick a value play today, we're going to go with Festa. Anything else for you?
Yeah, I kind of like Schomburg.
Okay.
A little. He's been a little lucky. He's been a little lucky, but
strikeouts on the rise a little bit, which is nice.
Strikeouts are on the rise. The innings are on the rise. Relatively, I mean, dude, we say this all the time. Like, it's a very righty, righty heavy lineup. Houston has no lefties, dude. They have Victor Caratini. That's without Jordan. That's their only lefty. So and Melton. So, I'm scared of the peripheral stuff for Schomburg, but I don't think there's a lot of difference between him and like David Festa, and one of them's getting a gazillion % ownership compared to the other one.
Agreed. All right, go to offense side of things here at catcher. Again, Goodman gets Ray, probably not attacking that matchup. Wells and Bubic is lefty. Do you start with like Narvaez versus Littell here at $3,700?
Oh, dude, this catcher sucks. Narvaez looks good. Tice looks good.
Salvi just because of the price.
Salvi because of price. Whatever White Sox catcher starts or both, you could play Cuero over Teal. The lefties are what kill Gusto. So, like, I think Kyle Teal is my favorite catcher of the day.
Sure.
I don't just mean to keep citing my seasonal team as like all my favorite plays, but like
I got him in FHCA. We ride.
Yeah, they are in a very good team or in very good spot against a guy who can't pitch against lefties.
Are we playing White Sox today? Because they got a couple of lefties.
We are gonna probably play a couple, and then like if Patrick Bailey's in the lineup, obviously you can play Patrick Bailey. We don't know. I don't really want to play Kisner. You can, but I hope Patrick Bailey is the catcher in the lineup for the Giants. We actually just got it. It's Kisner. Damn it.
Okay.
Ugh. Disgusting.
No problem. First base. Pete Alonso, Irvin, 52. Wilmer versus a lefty at 48. Aranda versus Bueller at $4,600. Looks pretty good there as well. Got a favorite of the top group?
Yeah, I mean, I would play Alonso in a stack. I think the Mets are my top stack today. So I love the Mets.
We talked Irvin's lefty numbers.
We talked Irvin's lefty numbers. They are incredibly bad. Like Alonso, like Aranda, like Yandy. Those would probably be the guys for me. Those would probably be the guys I play.
Pasquantino's heating up, man.
He's been really good. He's been really, really good. So I have no issues going to Vinny Paz if you're not playing like Clark Schmidt. I mean, it's 90 degrees again. It's going to be 90 degrees at first pitch. So I think that's interesting. And Wilmer, I didn't mean to like skip over Wilmer. Obviously, he's actually been pretty bad against lefties this year.
We looked at that, right? The numbers hadn't really bared it out, but we're just riding. Listen, if Willie Dobbs can get it done in Coors versus lefty, well, anybody can get it done in Coors.
I think there's a sneaky Coors value. Did we get Casey Schmidt in the lineup? We did. So Casey Schmidt, I find a little bit interesting tonight. I hate that he's just first base eligible on this. Like it's very silly. I don't understand it. He has an expected ISO of 176 against lefties and an expected WOBA of 391 against lefties. So it's like not the biggest sample, but you don't often find like 5-6 hitters as cheap as the Giants have tonight. With Encarnacion and Clark Schmidt. So, or not Clark Schmidt, Casey Schmidt. So I actually think Casey Schmidt.
He and Abraham Toro getting similar rostership here today. Toro hitting third, will hit from the left side, and hitting obviously in the middle of the Red Sox order versus Littell. So if you're looking for some value, you can get there. Anything else?
No, let's go to second.
Okay. Second base up at the top. Jazz is back in the lineup. We'll see if he gets tagged in the back of the head or not and starts a fight today. 5K for him. Brandon Lyles, 49. We mentioned obviously lefties versus Irvin. So McNeil hitting 5th today at 4K. Fitzgerald was good last night. He's $3,900. Beatty from the left side at 38. Thoughts here?
Yeah, this position is actually better than I thought initially. Brandon Lau, if you're spending up, is the guy. I love Jeff McNeil here, and I also love that you could play Jeff McNeil in the outfield too, because I think second does have some good options. Love McNeil. Can definitely get to Fitzgerald at 39. He actually has really good numbers against lefties this year. Yeah. Brett Beatty, $3,800, second and third. Another guy you could play multiple positions. Love that. I think the Twins are a little bit sneaky, and that's like Twins bias and propaganda aside. I've said this for a couple starts. Jack Leiter has horrendous underlying numbers that he is going to suffer the consequence of eventually. I think the Twins are pretty good against right-handed pitching and don't strike out a lot. So like the Clemens-Castro pairing, I think looked pretty good. Marcus Semien is an interesting candidate. If you do buy into David Festa struggling against righties, Marcus Semien is, I don't know if he's all the way back, but he has been freaking really good of late and like some monster games. So 3,100 for Semien hitting 4th looks pretty good. That's probably it. Like second does have some like good options from top to bottom.
Sure. Third base position, Devers up at the top at 53. You can play Jazz and Wilmer here. Michael Garcia, Junior Caminero, Paredes versus Burke. Some guys we've discussed, some we haven't yet.
Some guys we discussed and some we haven't. Yeah, Devers looks great. I think there's going to be a lot of home runs hit in that game. Wilmer, we've talked. Junior Caminero, if there's anyone that I would pick to hit home run in that game, it would be Junior Caminero. Buehler has allowed a lot of power to righties this year. I don't care about this mechanical wizardry that's happened. He's just been bad, and until he can prove he's not bad, I will pick on Walker Buehler in a good environment in that game. So I like, the 262 ISO that he's allowed to righty. So Junior Caminero, I think, looks great. And Paredes hits righties, as we know. So, I think Devers, Wilmer, Caminero, Paredes, probably the guys over 4K for me.
Okay. Under 4K for you? Any values that you're keying in on here?
Under $4,000. Yeah.
Got a little Ronnie Mauricio from $2,500 here.
Yeah, Mauricio looks great. Ties and Mets stacked together quite well. I like Josh Young because I like the righties against Festa. If you're targeting Festa, I think the righties are the way to go.
Yep. Quickly here, just throwing it back. Ryan, yes, we were okay on Festa today in the mid-range. Few value options, live to get hit, but some good strikeout upside. I'm not going Littell versus the Red Sox in Boston. I'm going to fade that one, Anthony, but could work for you, as before. Shortstop up at the top, Lindor, we mentioned lefties versus Irvin. It's the right split for us here. Witt, Abrams, Pena, Adames, your top 5. Again, Adames homering last night. Abrams does get lefty versus Peterson, so maybe a tougher spot for him there, but a really good night for Abrams last night as well.
Yeah, Lindor's my guy here. You can always play Witt. You can play Abrams if you want. Really good game yesterday, but just brutal spot for him. Pena, I think, looks good. You could play Adames. Seager looks fine in a Texas stack. He's like, they scored 16 runs. He had 2 hits and got on base 4 times. Maybe that was like what Seager needed.
Finally.
Yeah. Finally he's right. But I actually think it's a pretty bad position outside of like a few names we talked about. I think you can probably, I think you can get to Trevor Story, homered off a righty again, which obviously has been like the bugaboo for Trevor Story. Like,
he's been obviously really good these last 4 games.
He's been really good. He's been really, really good, for sure. And it's gone actually probably a little bit further too. He's been pretty good for like a decent amount of time now. So yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. I think I said Boston is in my playbook as like one of my favorite stacks today.
Mhm.
That game in general looks good. I mean, the pitchers in that game, there's wind blow, like there's not a lot to like about the pitching. So yeah, I think Story is probably the value tier, and you could play Mydroth. He's going to be on base 7 times every night. He's going to walk. He's going to do something. I mean, if you want to be a little contrarian, guy gets on base multiple times, like every game at this point. So if you put him in the middle of your White Sox stack, we still don't have a White Sox lineup, which I find a little interesting.
Yeah.
It's an 8-10 game, so I guess it is what it is. But
Sure.
yeah.
Outfield. Aaron Judge, obviously, homers to the moon there, even with a tough matchup at Bubic, always live. Wood, lefty. Buxton was good last night. Gets lighter. You've kind of mentioned maybe some impending doom there with Jack Leiter. Soto homered last night off Mackenzie Gore in a lefty spot. He gets Irvin in a really great matchup at 54. And then you get your Coors Field plays here. Elio Ramos versus lefty did not work for us last night, but maybe this go around.
Yeah, I mean, Judge, you could play against anyone. I do think Buxton looks good. He has some good numbers against righties this year. Soto, I think, is my top outfielder of the day. If you were to ask me who my favorite, I would just say Soto. And this just goes to show you, people just need to stop panicking in like a month and a half. Like
364, 1300 OPS, 10 games. That good?
And the thing is, he hasn't changed. He's still walking a bunch. Like nothing's changed there. He's still walking, and he's still now he's just on base he's been on base over 50% of the time in his last 10 games, right? It's like, and even in this subpar Soto season, he almost has a 400 OBP and an 840 OPS. Like he's gonna be fine. He's
hit like 280 by the end of the year, and you won't even know what you were complaining about. So
950 OPS, 30 home runs, 120 runs, 120 driven in. It's gonna be fine. Jung-Hoo Lee and Helio, you mentioned. I do think Lee actually has some pretty good looking stuff against lefties. Ramos has been really good against lefties since last year, like super elite stuff.
Yeah, again, the top 3 ownership guys once again are all San Francisco. It's Ramos and Encarnacion and Lee tonight. So
yeah, it's not at all surprising. Wyatt Langford is definitely a home run waiting to happen against David Festa. Again, said all show. Righties are what you want against David Festa this year. Righty power has dominated him. Wyatt Langford is that definition, righty power. He is powerful. He is a righty. I didn't mean to skip over Jarren Duran. I think he looks really good too against Littell. I think there's a lot to like in this 4K range. Like Wallner, I think is you could get a home run out of tonight. I like Brandon Nimmo quite a bit, hitting second against Irvin. I don't know how many times we have to talk about Mets lefties and Jake Irvin, or just lefties against Jake Irvin, but we do, and we will continue it. Roman Anthony, really nice piece of hitting on that double last night. The kid's obviously just a stud. $4,000. He's 2,500 on FanDuel, which is just criminal. But guy has infinite power. Talk about Zach Littell allowing 2 home runs per 9 innings this year. Seems like a match made in heaven for his first home run.
Yeah.
And then we talked McNeil at second, but I would love to emphasize again, like crazy power stretch coming from Jeff McNeil this year. Like 6 home runs in 36 games is kind of a lot for Jeff McNeil.
He had like a 20 homer season probably a decade ago, it feels like at this time, right? But like
532 slug this year for Jeff McNeil. Like he hit in the middle of the lineup, multi-position eligibility. Looks great.
Man, got Larnick there. Evan Carter at $3,800.
Yes, Anthony. Well. Yes, it is. I just hit my monitor, but yes, don't do that.
Or is it crazy to attack match pitching? Yeah, you said Peterson's your favorite pitcher today. So
yeah, I mean, I'm not stacking against him. So
Caglione here, $3,500. Again, wait for he's another one with infinite power. So maybe Clark Schmidt deals went up to him here tonight. And Encarnacion's chalk. Willie Castro's down here.
I got some others above. Larnack 3,900. I like as a cheap home run. Evan Carter. I mean, dude, World Series MVP from 2 years ago, and he gets the call again, and now we're back-to-back 3-hit games, home runs, 5 RBIs for Evan Carter, 5 runs scored in 2 games, hitting 6 tonight. Like, I think there's a lot to like about David Festa. I think there's a lot to like about attacking David Festa as well, especially if the Rangers keep hitting. We know Adolis Garcia over the last couple seasons has been notoriously better against right-handed pitching, and I've said it all show. And I'll just say it one more time so people don't leave and be like, wow, that guy's annoying.
Sure.
David Festa struggled against righties. So Adolis Garcia, 37, and Mike Tauchman, 36, at the top of that order against Ryan Gusto. So just adding on to the Caglione and Encarnacion plays there.
Okay. Anything else?
Benny Biceps 29, but that would be it.
Okay. Let's get a lineup going then. A little core plays. We get Soto, right?
Yeah, let's get our cores going. Soto, Peterson, Mauricio. I would definitely go Robbie Ray because I think that price tag is maybe the most criminal thing we're ever going to see for Robbie Ray again. Sure. He's never going to be under 10K again this year. So,
and then do
punt catcher with Kyle Teal.
Okay, just assume they have to play him, right? Like he's their future.
We just got Shane McClanahan. No, got shut down again.
Did he?
Oh no.
Is that what that's?
Yep. Yeah, they'll visit another nerve specialist before determining next step in recovery. He's currently in, quote, kind of a shutdown mode, end quote.
Well, not great. All right, so one more play. We'll give that our core. What do we want to do here?
Casey Schmidt has some first base value.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you have the infinite money glitch for everywhere else.
Schmidt right there, 31. Okay. Peterson, Ray, Teal, Schmidt, Mauricio, and Soto. $4,600 left per position for second short outfield positions. We'll have the full lineup in the Discord roster lock today at 7:10. We appreciate y'all tuning in for us, and we'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back tonight with the preview show for tomorrow's Friday slate. We'll see you then.